driverlineup.com in for another check-in. Quick housekeeping update. I'm not going to be doing the longer vlogs. It just is what it is. I think I told you guys in my first video, my profession before becoming a truck driver is video production. I was the executive producer and was co-editor for a feature-length documentary that we raised and spent almost $250,000 on, and it's been seen by 500,000 people. So editing video is, I love it, and I'm actually quite good at it. But it's a big difference when in editing video on the $10,000 editing suite that I have in Springfield, which is a 64 gigabyte, 12 core, you know, just crazy Mac Pro setup. With Final Cut Pro and Apple Motion, and then I've got dual 27-inch monitors. Obviously I can't have that in a truck, and so learning this YouTube game for me is it's interesting, because it's a whole different ball of wax, so to speak, and trying to get my files converted to a format that I can use in my editors. I do have a laptop, but trying to get my files converted. I'm used to working with 4K cinema cameras, and you know, the big hard drives. I've got big G-RAID external drives. I do have one on the truck here. It's like, I don't know, 8 terabytes, 10 terabytes, something like that. But it's just not working. Learning to shoot with an iPhone is it's a little tricky for me. So we're going to scrap that. We're not going to do the long videos. I did start messing around with an iPhone-based editor, which, like I said, is very interesting to me, because usually I have Final Cut Pro on a 27-inch 27-inch monitor, and Apple Motion, or one of my other, you know, I use Resolve for color grading on the other monitor. And trying to do all this on an iPhone is, I'm having to really reteach myself, and I guess I'm just going to stick with the philosophy of the blessedness of simple. So these check-ins are pretty much what you're going to get, and that's okay, honestly, because I think I've got a pretty good routine with them. I didn't think I'd be able to do these every day, but actually I could probably do 2 of these every day. So I'm going to keep doing these. Anyway, enough bloviating. That's almost 3 minutes of that. I just wanted to let you guys know, if you're watching these chronologically, that and you're following the story, this is what you're going to get. And I'm still going to be able to put the drone footage in there. I'll start using some of that here in the near future. But anyway, this video is about California. And if you've been watching my videos over the last week, you hear me say a lot that I am very anti-California. It's you got to really work some magic to get me to go to California. And I wrote a big post on it. I'll put the link below this video to the post over on driverlineup.com, kind of explaining my reasoning for it, but it just never works out for us. We always get screwed on California. At least that's been the case this entire year. And I want to make sure that you know, before I get into these quick numbers here, that I'm not advising anyone to not run California. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. There's a lot of loads in and out of California. It works really well for a lot of trucks, especially company drivers and teams with students, because you need the miles. If you need the miles, and that's where it's at, going to California and back. But the way I run my truck is that I try to run as few miles as possible while maximizing my revenue. And California, for me, just doesn't do the trick. In fact, it's quite the opposite. So I do have that post up, and I recommend you go check it out. But just getting into the basics of it, so fleet managers they'll try and push the revenue. You know, look at this. This is a $3,000 load, keeps your truck moving. We'll try to get you something good out of California, and that used to be the case. That was the case last year, 2019. The loads coming out of California justified the loads that you took into California. So it's kind of the opposite of Florida, right? You go into Florida with a good load, and you come out with, well, I'm not going to say the products you come out of there. You guys who drive for Prime know what I'm talking about. You go in with good rates and you come out with bad rates. California is the opposite. You go in with bad rates, you come out with good rates. Well, in 2019, the good rates justified the bad rates. So you could, like in California, it was very common to get $2 a mile out of California, or at the very least $1.80, $1.90, especially if you're running FedEx loads, things like that, organic produce loads, organic juice loads out of California. They all paid, $1.80, $1.90, $2 or better to get out of California. And with that being the case, if you took $1.10 or $1.20 into California, at least you were getting, $1.50, $1.60 round trip. And that kind of, it didn't make it enjoyable for me, because I just hate driving in California. I don't like the speed limits. I don't like having to move to the fifth hole, making the trailer legal in California. I don't like the traffic in California. I don't like none of it. The roads are terrible. You go over Donner Pass on 80 into Sacramento from Reno, or into Oakland from Reno, it just sucks. And if you go into LA down 15 from Vegas, just terrible. Now that road's not so bad, but then it's terrible drives. And especially if you turn west and go towards Bakersfield up through those mountains, man, that is a tough, terrible, challenging drive. And then, you get to Barstow and you think, okay, well, I've only got, 70 miles to get into start getting into LA from Barstow. Well, depending on what time of day you go, that 70 miles can take forever going through, was it Vacaville or whatever it is? They're outside of LA, and then down the pass. So there's just none of it's enjoyable. The I-5 between LA and Sacramento is terrible. All of it's just terrible. So, it has to be at least somewhat justifiable on the pay side. And like I said, if you're running miles, it's great, because if you got a TNT student, like when I was in training, I loved California because I wanted 5,000-6,000 miles a week. I wanted to upgrade and get off that truck. So, California loads to me were fantastic. I'd run them all the time, and my trainer didn't mind because because it was justified for him. He was making good money. Back then the rates were good. But this entire year, and again, I'm not advising anyone, I'm not suggesting you do anything, I'm just telling you the way it's worked for my truck. California round trip for me has been about $1.25 a mile this entire year, and that's at best. So, take $1 a mile, $1.10 or $1.05 mile load into California, and then I'm lucky to get $1.50 out of there. It's some produce load paying $1.50 out of there. Well, round trip, that's $1.25 a mile. And as I put in my post, if I do two trips, one from the Northeast to California, and then one from California to the Northeast in a pay period, and that gives me, say, I don't remember exactly what numbers I use, but let's say $7,500 in revenue. Well, you're talking almost 6,000 miles for expensive fuel, lots of tolls, and a lot of running hard. Whereas I can get $7,500 in revenue just in the Midwest and the South, running short loads, only doing 4,500 to 5,000 miles. Which of the two would I choose? Because on the 4,500 to 5,000 miles, I'm getting much cheaper fuel, I'm not dealing with tolls, and I'm running several thousand miles less for the same amount of revenue. Now, which of those two options do you think is going to pay me more in income? It's the second. I make much more, and I actually have 2 weeks to compare it, and using those exact, I don't know the exact dollar amount, you have to look at the post, but it was about $7,500, I believe, on both weeks. 1 week I had to run 6,000 miles roughly, going back and forth the East Coast of California, and 1 week I only ran, I think it was less than 5,000 miles, and had the same amount of revenue, about $7,500. On the week that I ran less miles and didn't have to deal with the headache of California, I got paid more because it cost me less to run the shorter loads with higher revenue. So California just doesn't make sense to me. And it happened to me again in Las Vegas on the load that we just left Springfield with. We took I think it was $1.40 out of Springfield to Las Vegas, and then they proposed a load for like 380 miles for $380 from Las Vegas over to north of Bakersfield, and I was like, you know, it's not worth that to me, because you don't get in and out of California quick. 380 miles, and you're talking probably with live unloads on both ends, 15, 20 hours total for that job for $380. I'm a team truck. I'm not doing that. And now, if I knew I was going to get $2.50 or something out of California, if that was a guarantee, great, I would do it, because it would be worth it on the back end. But this entire year, I've gotten, you know, $1.40, $1.50 out of California. It's not worth it to me. So I rejected that load in Vegas, and guess what I got? About $1.75 out of Vegas to Minnesota. Well, it just happened again today, sitting here in Atlanta. I have load choice, but they pre-planned me. Hang on a second, I'll be right back, guys. Jenna's coming back. She's gonna need some help getting in the truck, so give me just a second. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Jenna was coming back with a couple jugs of water and some things I thought that I might need to help.
Nope, I dropped it on my foot.
So, anyway, yeah, like I was saying, this exact same thing happened to us today that happened in Vegas. We have load choice, but because we were taking the night off, boy, that truck's jacked up. Jackknifed himself. Our PTA wasn't set until 3 o'clock this afternoon, so we can't request loads on load choice until 2 hours before our PTA time. So we wouldn't have been able to request loads until 1 p.m. today. So we got a proposed pre-plan, and it was California from Rome, Georgia, which we've actually gone there before. I'm not going to mention that shipper, but we've been there before, and usually we've gotten decent paying loads out of there. But this one was 98 cents a mile or I think right about 98 cents a mile for almost 2,100 miles from Rome, Georgia to somewhere right there in the LA area. With a tight window. So it's run hard into California for 98 cents a mile. It was like 2 days, I think it gave us.
And when he says tight window, we're talking like FedEx tight window.
Yeah, but like basically running the truck nonstop for 2 days. And you know, we're willing to do that. We just did it. The load we took out of New Jersey to get down here was a shipping company, and it was one of those that you can't mess around on. So we're willing to do that, but the pay's got to be there. I'm not willing to do that for 98 cents a mile, and not only that, but expensive fuel all along the way. It's just, it's just not worth it. Now, I don't know if you can see her. Look at her. She's mad about something.
She's mad that you're recording.
She gets mad. She gets mad when she doesn't get attention. She wants attention all the time. Anyway, now I've been asked, don't you get punished? Don't you get crappy loads after that? And Jenna, do we get punished?
No, we get rewarded.
We get rewarded every time this year that we've rejected a California load, and we've rejected probably, 5 or 6 this year at least. And every single time we call. Where is she? Oh, every time this year that we've rejected a load, and we called her bluff. We called her bluff, and sometimes they'd be like, well, if you don't take this load, you'll have to sit for a few hours. Okay, we'll sit for a few hours, and we do. And every single time, like I said in Vegas, we got the $1.
Well, and a lot of times they say it's the only load they have, but then they give us something that's now hours late because they spent hours.
Yeah, that happened in Vegas, and I'm not knocking on Prime for doing it. I understand, like in Vegas, it was clear that they had a lot of those $380 loads that needed to get over, because in the load choice, it was 3 with 3 different trip numbers.
All one digit
and they were like 1 digit off, and they were staggered by like half an hour. So they had a bunch of loads they needed to get to California. So, I'm not mad at Prime for the Prime's got to do what it's got to do to try to get its freight moved. But it was presented to us as if that was the only option in Vegas, and we were like, okay, then we'll just take 8 hours down. We're at a TA. I went in and gambled $20, you know, we're like, oh, we'll just sit and wait, you know, and we did not have to wait 8 hours. And like she said, the load, that $1.75 load out of Vegas came just a couple hours later, and it was past its pickup time. So that load had been there the whole time. So no, we don't get punished for it. And what happened today? Well, say, hey, you know, I'm not going to do this California load, reject that load, and it was maybe 10 minutes later, in comes a $3 a mile load with 3 stops in Florida, all around the Tampa area, with plenty of time. Not extreme time, but plenty of time. It's not going to run us ragged, but $3 a mile, and in just a day and a half. Total miles is about 600 miles, and it pays almost $1,900. So, you know, I mean, now, and I know that's Florida, and I know that means we're probably going to have to take, you guys know what, out of Florida for $1 a mile. But unlike California, if we have to take $1 a mile out of Florida, the round trip is $2 a mile, because we got $3 a mile in. So that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm happy with that. It's the problem with California is when your round trip is $1.25 a mile. And plus, I don't mind driving in Florida. I think the roads are great. The tolls, you know, the toll roads aren't too expensive, but they're nice roads. And I don't mind driving Florida. And especially when it's not hot like right now. So anyway, guys. Like I said, I don't tell you this to advise you to run your truck the way that we do. I think California works for a lot of trucks, and for different reasons. I'm just telling you it doesn't work for us, and it actually works out for us to avoid California at all costs, and it has this entire year. Like I said, it was different last year, and I hope that California rates start to increase, because I know that this is happening with other trucks as well. So eventually capacity is not going to be there for California. They're going to have a difficult time getting trucks to these loads, because it's not worth it. So I hope rates come up, and if rates come up, then it will become worth it. But until then, you know, running a lease truck is your business, and you have to make decisions that are good for your business. And I know some people say, what's the law of averages? Well, we tried that. The law of averages for California, we got screwed. We got screwed time and time again. The law of averages did not work out for us. So now the law of averages of saying no to California is what works out really well. So anyway, yeah, we rejected another California load today. So that's and guys, this doesn't happen like every week. You'll hear me talking about California a lot, and that's just because I don't want to go there, and there has to be a good reason to go there. But it's not like we're rejecting loads, every couple days. We don't. It's just that, to me, California just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. It's not worth it, and there's got to be a better reason for me to go there. Taking 98 cents a mile there to hope to get $1.40 out is not a good reason to go to California. So anyway, that's my update for today. Yes, rejected another California load, and so now we're going to go pick up this load here south of Atlanta, and then we'll be in Florida for the next 2 days. So anyways, be safe out there, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I think we're at like 115 subscribers in just over a week on YouTube, so it's pretty awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Like I said, be safe out there, make good decisions, and as always, drive to thrive, and don't just drive to drive.